before we start? All right. Well, I see someone trying to get in from the waiting room, and hopefully that person will get in. I'm Suri Deitch, and I'm Dean of the Tulane School of Professional Advancement, and wanted to welcome you to this graduate admissions webinar today. We're really excited to have you join all of us. I'm here with my colleague Sheila Gold, who's our Executive Director of Recruitment and Admissions. I'm going to talk during the first part of the webinar and then hand things over to her. And our colleague Ann Conlon is behind the scenes running the slides. So actually the first thing, I'm curious to know where everyone is calling in from and what program you're interested in. So if you wouldn't mind putting into the chat box at the bottom of your screen, your name, your city or town, and if you know the program you're interested in, it would be great to see that and hear from everyone. So go ahead and put that into the chat box. Great. Hey, Jason, Evergreen, Colorado. I grew up in Colorado Springs, so nice to virtually meet you. And Eric from Belle Chase, great. Elvis from Chamblee, great. Nice to meet all of you. Excuse me. Alex, New Orleans recently moved from Washington, D.C. Fabulous. Our summers have a lot in common with DC's summers. Another New Orleans, Trisha in Asheville, great. Nice to see all of you. Victoria from Maryland, nice to meet you. Nicole, great. Lily, New Orleans. All right, Duan, so you're interested in prerequisite courses for the business school. Tali, great. All right, well, it's really nice to see everyone, and probably most people are familiar with Zoom at this point, right? 15 months into pandemic life. But throughout the webinar, feel free to put questions or comments in the chat box, and we will address them in the moment if we can. If we need to follow up with you, we will. Duan, I think we may need to follow up with you about the prerequisite courses for the business school. But this is a general webinar about what it's like to come to Tulane SOPA as a graduate student, overviews of our programs, and just a little bit about the school generally. And again, I'm Suri Deitch, I'm the Dean of the school, and I participate in these webinars because finding future generations of SOPA students is a really important part of my job and also really enjoyable. And I know you'll hear this again during the webinar, but we're really excited to start to develop a relationship with you now while you're in the admissions process, and to continue that as you become students. So SOPA is, as we call it, the School of Professional Advancement, is an unusual school within Tulane University, which has a long history of offering applied programs that are relevant to the workplace And in particular, what's true for our school is that we have a wide range of students, diverse in every respect, age-wise, racially, culturally, in terms of background. We have a significant portion of students who are first responders and or veterans and in the military. We have students all over the world in our online programs. And at the same time, we managed to offer a really intimate education where you get to know your peers, where you get to know faculty, where you can get to know the dean, for example. And we're really proud to be part of this long history at Tulane of offering applied programs that are relevant to careers, but to do it in a 21st century fashion, which is something that we are really good at. And hopefully we're going to further intrigue you about what it's like to be a student at SOPA, so that you will want to move forward with an application for admission. So, excuse me, in the next slide, these are the different areas that I'm going to cover today. I'm going to start out talking about online, which has become more important during the pandemic, but was always really important for us. Talk a little bit about our programs and faculty without going into a lot of detail, because we have program-specific webinars in each of our areas. Talk about the ways in which we support students. And of course, we're going to talk about affordability and flexibility, specifically for students who have a lot of other things going on in their lives. And then all of this is backed up by the Tulane name and reputation, which is so valuable to have as part of your educational path. So first, to talk a little bit about online, because most of our graduate instruction is done in this fashion. And even if you're in a program in New Orleans, you're likely to have some online courses. We have a very interactive way of educating students and interacting, creating interactions between faculty and students online. We use a lot of multimedia work, so videos, sometimes games or simulations. The word took a second to come into my head. Typically, classes meet synchronously, which is what we're doing right now, at least once a month as a required meeting. Many times classes meet more frequently. They may or may not be required, but most of the time you are doing work on your own schedule, on your own time. And we're finding different kinds of ways to connect you with the course content and with your peers. In the next slide, we give a few data points that describe our depth of online. So numbers of students, numbers of courses and hours, the number of programs, degree programs and certificates that are offered online, and numbers of faculty who are trained to teach online. And then nationally ranked programs in these areas, which is another way that we count quality and that we know what we're doing. The next slide gives you a little bit of information about our faculty. And so we have a mix of full-time faculty at Tulane and part-time faculty or adjuncts who are professionals working in industry. On the right side of your screen, you can see Tyra Mitchell and Ralph Russo, who are both full-time faculty, both of whom came from industry. Tyra from the field of kinesiology, and Ralph from IT and actually cybersecurity in particular. And then over on the left, two of our faculty who are adjuncts working in industry. And we have about 30 full-time faculty in the school who are completely dedicated to working with students, and over 200 adjuncts who, again, are people working in industry who love the opportunity to share their knowledge and their networks with students as part of their work with SOPA. I see a question from Alex about classes that are offered online versus in person. And so most of our graduate study is offered online. Sometimes we have courses that are offered both in person and online, but that's actually not typical. And we can talk a little bit about which programs have on-ground classes. It varies. It varies across our programs. So we can talk about the specific program that you're interested in. All right, on the next slide, this is a list of all of our master's degrees. Some of them are what's called a Master of Professional Studies. Some of them are Master of Science degrees. We have a Master of Liberal Arts and also a Master of Public Administration. And again, we have webinars that focus on each of these program areas where you can learn more about the specific content and meet with the faculty in the specific programs. The next slide has a list of all of our graduate certificates. And one of the key points about the graduate certificates is that they're what's called stackable, which means that if you enroll in a certificate program, you can apply the credits toward the master's degree. The admissions process and the admissions standards between the certificate programs and the degree programs are identical. If you complete the requirements for a certificate as part of a master's degree, you earn the certificate. And if you decide that you want to start with a certificate program because you're not sure if you want to take on a whole master's, or you have a very particular interest in becoming more expert in a particular area, such as nonprofit management or K-12 education or emergency management, you can change your mind after you finish the courses, the 4 courses in the certificate, or midway through, and seamlessly go into the master's degree. The one exception is the program in cyber technology fundamentals, which is geared toward people who don't have a background in computer science or IT, but want to move into the field. And that's actually an 18 credit program at the graduate level. And most of the students who complete that program then go into our cybersecurity or IT management master's degrees. And then the next slide has a list of programs in a third category, which is post-baccalaureate, which means that you need to have finished your bachelor's degree in order to enroll in these programs, but the coursework is actually at the undergraduate level. And these are generally in fields where people need a certification or need a set of skills, but the graduate study is not as relevant. So students who are looking for certifications or licensure in K-12 education, for example, or in graphic design. So some of you may be interested in that. So that is a lot of programs with very little detail. So I'll move on and talk about one of the ways in which we sort of show how we are an adult-friendly institution. And that is through various methods of awarding students credit at the graduate level for previous learning and work and volunteer experience. We have, for example, agreements with organizations such as the National Guard or the Marine Corps or the National League of Cities, where you can come into a master's degree program already having completed some of the requirements for the degree. But the main one that students look at is called credit for prior learning. And essentially what you do is you work with our faculty to map your experience against the learning objectives of specific courses in the graduate program that you're interested in. You develop a portfolio, and then faculty grade it and actually give you a grade and award you credit. You can earn up to 6 credits, which is 2 courses toward the master's degree. All of our master's degrees are 11 or 12 or 13 courses. So you can get 2 courses toward the master's degree. And, it's a great way of getting a head start. And also, if you have experience in the field where you're studying, not having to learn things over again. And then on the next slide, just a little bit of information about the area that we call student support and success. And that basically means that myself, my colleagues who are on today, and everyone else at SOPA is dedicated to creating the circumstances where you can be successful academically and professionally and meet your goals. And so what that means is each of you has a dedicated academic advisor who can help you figure out which courses to take when, and sort of plan out your academic journey at SOPA. But also, if you have an issue come up, which happens sometimes, right? Health or family or job, the academic advisor can help you navigate that, figure out how to keep on track in school, and deal with everything else you need to deal with. We are known for being flexible and appreciating the fact that people have other things going on in their lives. Most of us were adult students and navigated having multiple obligations at once while we were in school, and so we can relate. I'm one of them. And so we maintain our academic standards and the rigor of our programs, but we work with you to make sure that you can make progress toward your goal. We also offer dedicated career advisement. So you have an opportunity to interact with people from industry, to make connections, whether through our staff or our faculty, like I said, most of whom are adjuncts in the field and bring their networks. But you can also get help with your LinkedIn profile or your resume or preparing for an interview. And then on top of all of that, you have the fact that you will be a Tulane alum. And so you have permanent access to networks and information about jobs. And most of all, you have the Tulane name behind you as you move throughout your career. All right. And with that, I'll hand things over to my colleague, Sheila. And again, please keep putting questions into the chat box. It's so nice to meet all of you.
Thanks, Suri. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I always like to extend some gratitude to our webinar participants because I know that this is in the middle of your day and you've chosen to take what I'm presuming might be a lunch hour to spend it learning about our programs. So we certainly hope that you find this investment of time valuable. We certainly enjoy loving talking about our programs, and we hope that you'll feel how enthusiastic we are about our school and want to come join us. One of the areas that we are very intentional about at SOPA is our tuition price points. So we know that our students are juggling multiple responsibilities in their life, and going back and getting a degree on top of it is one of the many pieces that you need to juggle and evaluate as you make your decision. So our tuition for the fall semester is at $1,119 per credit hour. The majority of our classes, all of our classes, are 3 credit hours. I do encourage students, because I know that you all are savvy consumers, when looking at Tulane SOPA versus other institutions, please take into account we add a very low dollar point on the fees that we add on top of our tuition. There are lots of institutions nationally and even here in our own New Orleans area that when you add the fees on top of the tuition, it can almost double what you pay per semester. That is not the case at SOPA. We are intentional about that, and the majority of what you pay each semester is your tuition rate. The majority of our students take 1 to 2 classes a semester, and we also have on our website, if you have not visited, a tuition calculator that students can go in and put how many credit hours you anticipate taking per semester, and you can get a very close approximation to what you will pay moving through your program. Even though we try to keep our price point very affordable, we do know that it is an investment of money and time, and many of our students do seek financial aid. We require the FAFSA form, which is the federal form for financial aid. My pro tip for students is to get on those financial aid forms when you start your application for admission. Also, start your financial aid process. The financial aid process can take several weeks to navigate, and it does require lots of different bits of information for you to supply to the financial aid office. And so, gathering that information, getting a decision back, it's better to do that on the front end as opposed to the back end. We do offer our students several different types of aid. Federal grants and loans are the most common. We are proudly a yellow ribbon school. We do try to work with active military and veterans. We do offer several 20% discounts to students. So if you fall in one of these categories, you will be eligible for a 20% tuition discount. If you're active duty military or a veteran, active or retired public safety personnel, or if you have received your bachelor's degree from a minority serving institution, an HBCU or a Hispanic serving institution, or an Indigenous person serving institution, if you received your bachelor's degree from an MSI, then we offer a 20% tuition discount. We certainly hope that that will apply to some of you on this call. And then the slide before this that Surrey was describing, our credit for prior learning process. If you can demonstrate that you have knowledge in one or two of the courses that are required for your master's and you receive credit through that, through the portfolio process, that's a savings of over $6,000. So two classes, roughly $6,000. So it's another way that you can also move more quickly through the program in terms of time, which is a savings, but also dollar savings. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to put them in the chat or to reach out to us individually. Our application process is intentionally streamlined and straightforward and simple. However, we are always available for questions. If you begin to fill out the application and you have any questions along the way, please do not hesitate to reach out. One of the takeaways I like prospective students to walk away with is that philosophically, we feel that the application process is the beginning of our relationship building with our students. We love to get to know our students. It is the most fun part, I believe, of what we do is creating relationships and getting to know you all. Schools are schools. It's the people and the students that make them fun and lively and valuable and interesting. So please reach out, send us an email. So our application is an online application. It lives on our website, which is sopa.tulane.edu. That web address is on the bottom of this slide. When you go to our homepage, there's a big button at the top that says apply. You click on that and it opens you up to our application portal. For those of you who are interested in a master's degree, pick our graduate application. If you are interested in a post-baccalaureate certificate, that's actually lives on our undergraduate applications. So that's just a little bit of information to write down from this webinar. If you forget, once again, send us an email and we can help you make that switch on the back end. There is a $50 application fee. However, as our thank you to you for taking time out of the middle of a busy Wednesday, we will waive that fee for you. It automatically gets waived. You don't have to do anything. We also require a current government ID for most of our applicants. They simply take their phone, take a picture of their driver's license or passport, and upload that image to the application. We do not require the GRE. We do not feel that that is an accurate indicator of success in graduate programs. There's a lot of data pointing to that being true, and so we don't require those. We do require transcripts from any institution from which you've received academic credit. Those can be sent both electronically or by US Postal Service, although the preference is electronic transmission because we get them much more quickly and they don't get lost in the mail that way. I see a question about a code for a fee waiver. It is not necessary. We are capturing your attendance right now. When you logged in, we captured your attendance. So if you submit an application, your fee will automatically get waived. If for some reason it does not get waived, that you get the message to submit your fee, please send us an email. It takes less than 30 seconds for me to waive an application fee. So don't be shy about that. But no waiver required. And some application deadlines. Our summer term just started, but that deadline was May 1. Our next entry term is fall. That application deadline is August 1. However, we do offer early enrollment scholarships for all applicants who enroll by June 1. So that is to say that if you know that you want to start in the fall term, go ahead and get your application into us. We can go ahead and evaluate that for you. June 1 is pretty close. You may be bumping up against that deadline, but if you're thinking about a fall from a year from now, you have plenty of time. And for those of you who are interested in the spring term, which is the January start, January 1 is our application deadline, but if you register for classes by December 1, you will go ahead and receive a $500 scholarship. For those of you who are already admitted to our program but have not yet registered for fall classes, you have until June 1, which is Tuesday of next week, to go ahead and register and get that $500 scholarship. I hope you'll take advantage of that. Everybody who registers early gets that scholarship, and it's just our way of making your first semester a little bit affordable. You will get a $500 discount applied to your first semester tuition bill. So we hope that you'll take advantage of that. Okay, my contact information is on the screen, Sheila Gold, S. Gold at Tulane. Please reach out with any questions. And at this point, if you have any questions for us, you can either put them in the chat or take yourself off of mute and ask your question. I see a question. My chat doesn't always show, but I do see a question. I think I saw it very quickly, that if you have an undergraduate degree from Tulane, you will not need to send us. If you have a degree from Tulane, we automatically pull your transcript for you. That's one way that we can alleviate one step of the application and also save you the price of sending the transcript. Tulane employees are eligible. You can use your waiver. You are eligible for the early enrollment scholarship. You are the one piece that you do have to pay is your enrollment deposit. All employees need to pay an enrollment deposit across all schools at Tulane. The waiver does not cover that.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. I see just real quick, a question from Jason about the turnaround time for the portfolio assessment. The biggest piece of work is for you to document your experience. And so we work with you to do that, but the turnaround once your portfolio is done is a few weeks at most. It's been really nice to meet everyone again. We look forward to being in touch. You'll get an email as follow-up from Sheila that has a link to the recording of the webinar. And let's see, a question from Chantal about GPA. What I'd say, Chantal, is that our guideline is 3.0, but depending on the program, we do accept students who have lower than a 3.0 at the undergraduate level, especially if you have relevant experience. So I wouldn't worry too much about how exactly we calculate the GPA. And we do offer the discount for current teachers for our post-bac program. And again, we look forward to following up with you. Please feel free to reach out at any point. And like Sheila said, we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy days. And all right, don't worry about your undergraduate GPA if you have a master's degree. We need your transcripts, but we're not going to be focused in on your undergrad GPA. And it seems like that's it. All right. Well, nice again to meet everyone, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much.